All right, we are back on Morning Line. It is our final segment this morning. Clint Kelly, malpractice attorney. The number 737-7587 is the number. If you want to join, ask a question, comment. We've had a few good ones this morning. Call in now, but you brought in some other cases, and this was one that Clint, every once in a while I'll get a fun email from Clint about some horrible outcome. And what is this, 2 weeks ago you sent this to me, something like that?
I did.
This is awful. Now, this was in another country.
Correct. This was in Bristol, England. Now, what have I told you, Nick, over the last few months, that one of the cases that I said would be increasing in volume would be medical batteries. In other words, operating on the wrong body part, operating on the wrong patient.
Because why again?
Because the volume, the sheer volume of patients. They are increasing the volume of patients without increasing the amount of medical staff, and over time that's going to shrink the margin of safety until something bad happens. And this is about one of the worst cases I've heard of, where a 2-year-old boy was castrated after the surgeons operated on the wrong testicle. This occurred in Bristol, England. And from reading the report, it's a BBC report, but from reading through here, it was simply a situation where the surgeons and the consultants did not perform the timeout procedure. Do you remember I told you about the timeout procedure? And I told you if you follow the timeout procedure, there's no way you can operate on the wrong body part.
Standard of care, man.
Standard of care. And that's exactly what happened with this child. They got in a hurry. They were having to remove one of the testicles because it was defective. They did not perform the timeout. Timeout involves identifying the right patient, the right body part, the right surgery, and the right tools.
Just to go over the basics. You may think and you may know it, but you stop and you just go over it.
Correct. And you also make sure you read the informed consent so you can compare the consent of the patient with the patient's identity. That wasn't done here, and now this kid.
So they left the defective one and took out the healthy one.
This kid can't have children.
Okay, I would imagine there's a lawsuit.
There are medical malpractice lawsuits in England.
I was going to say, around the world in general. I was asking, we have a friend we were just talking to who's going down to Mexico. Laws vary, but I imagine it's malpractice is things that happen across the country, across the world.
But many countries regulate it so heavily and make it so difficult to get compensated that the lawsuits really aren't worth it. For example, in England, they have basically a work comp system for their medical malpractice cases, such that you'd put this on a schedule and it might only be worth $25,000 or $50,000, capped out.
What?
Yeah, this is what the healthcare insurers would love to have in America, is this kind of system where you've got severe caps on patients who try to seek recovery in situations like that. I tell you what, if someone castrated my son or someone castrated your son, I'll guarantee you that I would think it was worth more than $50,000.
That's unbelievable. And it's got to be the will of the people to some point. You know, we have legislators here and lawmakers would hear about it. Our caps are a little higher, but you say you keep getting restricted more and more anyway.
I do, and our caps are higher here, but fortunately here in America, and particularly in Tennessee, we believe in the jury system.
Yeah.
So that's what make sure that people can at least have a shot at getting full compensation. By the way, these caps might be overturned. The Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals overturned the caps on punitive damages in Tennessee, declaring them unconstitutional.
Really?
That may happen in personal injury cases too.
How long ago did they?
This was about 2 weeks ago.
They reversed the cap on punitives?
On punitive damages, saying it violated Tennessee's constitutional right of juries to make decisions without government interference.
That's kind of what I thought. What was the cap?
$750,000. Oh, I'm sorry. No. Punitive damages, it was $500,000 or 2 times the compensatory damages, whichever is greater. The personal injury cap is $750,000.
Okay, and so now a jury can decide whatever they think it's worth.
They can impose punitive damages, and they can decide what the amount is without regard to what the government says is the cap.
Which is what a jury's supposed to do. All right, let's go to James. James, good morning. Hi, James.
Good morning. I don't know if I'm going to get this correct or not, or whether your guest has this information, but I'm 73, and years ago, Jerry Lewis used to be the spokesman for the muscular dystrophy agency.
Yeah, sure.
Now, I understand that when Jerry Lewis died, he had raised about $2 billion for the muscular dystrophy association.
Oh, yeah. For years, yeah. He did the telethon for years.
Yes, but what happened to all of that money that he had raised, the alleged $2 billion, and the muscular dystrophy? You don't hear anything about it today. So what happened to all that money?
That's always a question people ask about any charitable giving and where the money goes. Now, over the years, Jerry Lewis raised that, probably close to that number, millions every year during those telethons. I grew up watching those.
Well, they were on Channel 5.
Yeah, Channel 5. And it's so, I don't know. I mean, in general, that kind of money goes to medical research. Has it been policed, licensed, that amount of money that it went to the right source? I don't know.
Was there some claim out there that it was somehow misappropriated?
Not to my knowledge. Okay. Not to my knowledge. But when you're talking about money that much, yeah, I mean, medical research and stuff like that. That's something, you could look into, Google it. Jerry Lewis Telethon and the money's raised over the years, and you'll see if there were any articles done on it being misappropriated. I can't think of any off the top of my head.
I haven't heard about it, James. I couldn't answer the question.
He raised a lot of money for a wonderful cause over the years. All right, did you have one more case? I thought you had one other one.
Yeah, there's one last case here, which was, I mean, this is extremely unusual as well, but in Ohio, there was a doctor who was anti-Semite and went on to social media and began to tweet angrily about her patients, and in particular tweeted that she would purposely give Jewish patients the wrong medications.
Well, that's just mind-boggling. Not only that she has that attitude as a doctor, but two, that she would make it public.
Correct.
I mean, there's something really wrong with her brain.
This is what spooked me. This happened at the Cleveland Clinic. Now, that's one of the, blue blood hospitals and clinics in America, and it just shocked me to read this. But the reason I brought this up today, Nick, is because there are doctors, physicians, unfortunately, that have screws loose, and it's hard for patients sometimes to know who they are. But I'll tell you, if you have a doctor who seems impaired, that's what I think probably is the situation here, where they may be taking drugs or maybe taking alcohol, you run away. Because I have had cases with doctors who have injured people who were under the influence of alcohol, and when doctors do things like this, that's usually a sign they've got a chemical dependency problem.
Yeah, that's so crazy. I don't know that this has ever come up, but could you have a case if someone came in with a life-threatening condition into an emergency room, and the attending physician, because of his or her personal beliefs, refused to operate, perhaps because the patient's transgender or a certain race, and says, I'm not going to operate on that person because I don't believe in their lifestyle, and walked away and that person died?
Yeah, that would be known as abandonment.
Okay.
Now, the doctor has the right to not treat someone if it's against their moral or religious principles, but you cannot abandon the patient. Once there is a physician-patient relationship, you are required by that relationship to provide care, at least to stabilize the patient.
Yeah, and this is an emergency, so that relationship starts there.
What you're talking about sounds to me like abandonment, and that is illegal.
I didn't know if that came up, just thought I'd ask. Let's go to Joe real quick. Joe, good morning. Hey, Joe.
Hello, Dick.
Hey.
I just want to comment on the gentleman that called in about Jerry Lewis's telethon.
Yeah.
I happen to know a friend of mine that was a good friend of Gary Lewis, which was Jerry's son.
Okay.
And he had told him that Jerry Lewis, to do those telethons, requested that for him to do that he got paid a certain amount of the donations. So I would urge anybody on these telethons and things like that to double check it, because this guy knew what he was talking about, because he talked directly to the Jerry Lewis's son.
Well, I just want to say this about one thing here. Anyone who thinks I'm only going to give money to a charity where 100% of my donation goes to that, that's fine. But I'll tell you what, and I don't know if Jerry Lewis was enriching himself, but I don't have a problem if he raised $2 billion over his life because of who he was, and he ended up pocketing a couple million over the years doing that. I don't have a problem. The reason for that is, without him, you don't come anywhere close to $2 billion. Good fundraisers for charitable causes can be mercenary unto themselves, and if they bring in a ton of money for you, I have no problem compensating a good fundraiser. And a lot of people are like, well, I see they're making money on this, I'm not going to give. Very rare is there a charity that 100% of what you give goes directly to the charity, and if it is, they're not raising a ton. That's my take.
Nick, if you made $2 billion and you're the Muscular Dystrophy Association, and you know that it only cost you $2 million, which I believe is 1/1000th That's a great deal, is it not?
And I don't know that's true. I'm pulling that out my butt. But my point is, I see where Joe's going, and you want to be careful with who you give and that it's legit. But good fundraisers for charities, in my opinion, deserve it if they bring in more money than you would otherwise.
I think, Nick, what Joe's talking about is what we've heard about some of these charities, and I'm not going to name any, but some of them where you look at their breakdown of how they disseminate money, and something along the lines of 80 or 90% is used for promotion, sponsors, talent, and you find out only 5 or 10% is going to the beneficiaries.
Exactly. That's exactly
I think that's what Joe's talking about, is do your research before you give to those types of folks, because that to me is outrageous. That's akin to theft.
I agree with you there, and that's what you want to look at. I just can't imagine Jerry pocketing that much, but who knows? I'm sure he probably was compensated. Clint, real quick, remind folks where you're at.
Sure. It's 629 East Main Street in Hendersonville. Easiest way to reach me is 615-8000000. That's 615-800-0000. The call's free. The call's confidential. Ask to speak to Michelle when you call in. She'll do an intake on the case. She'll supply that intake to me. If I believe the case has merit, I will schedule the patient to come in and see me at the office. If not, Nick, I'll write a letter explaining to the patient why I didn't take the case.
You're awesome. Thank you for coming on, my friend.
We'll
see you again in a month. Take a break. Programming note right after this, and I'll put that number up one more time for you.